Many thanks for staying with us. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. And today, you know how we do it. We talk about anything that concerns Lagos, and we're discussing waterfront management here in Lagos, challenges and prospects. Joining us is the Commissioner for Waterfront Infrastructure Development, Lagos State, Dayo Bush Alibioshu. Commissioner, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like you to describe first, you know, the current state of waterfront here in Lagos.
I would say when, in describing it, I'd say it's rather chaotic out there. And in analyzing, you'd have to benchmark it against something, against places that actually celebrate their waterfront. We have a lot going on out there that's actually affecting our waterfront and inadvertently affecting our lives as Lagosians. There's a lot of pressure on particularly our lagoon. We're getting pounded from the Atlantic side by coastal erosion. But what the problems, the issues that we have on the lagoon front are man-made. They're not natural issues. They're things that have intentionally, or whether I should say knowingly or unknowingly, have caused. A lot of reclamation works have gone on unapproved, not taking into consideration the environmental impacts. There's a lot going on out there.
I know that, because just last week you were on a tour with Mr. Governor.
Correct.
You know, to inspect the waterfront. What were the main things, you know, you saw that Mr. Governor also saw that was quite disturbing?
Well, it was the issue of building without planning, without approvals, without all the satisfying all the necessary requirements. Some people seem to think that the role of government is to create problems, but it's actually in the contrary. The role of government is to resolve issues, create an enabling environment, create standards that have to be adhered to, so that we're able to move at the pace of those who have actually gotten it, who have actually arrived at the location they desire. When you look at Dubai, when you look at, for example, when you talk about Palm Jumeirah, it's nothing but reclamation work. But they've also infused the presence of tourism into it. Rarely do you see people visit Dubai and not want to go there. And it's also a cash cow for them there. And we're saying this is the same thing that should happen here. Even
Saudi Arabia, they've started with the Red Sea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But people are aware, and it's important for them for us to look beyond the commercial earnings from it, commercial gains, rather than it would be better to focus on the impact. When you look at the Lekki corridor, you'd notice that they continuously have issues of flooding. What's the cause? They have drainage channels, and that's why we insist that even in processing proper reclamation or dredging works, we take a lot of things into consideration. We request for the environmental impact assessment, which those who are reclaiming illegally have not done. We require that they get drainage clearance, so that we know that we've finally been able to get a handle on flooding. Floods will come, but do they remain? Absolutely not. No. Within a few minutes, they're gone. So it shows that both drainage and environment are doing a great job, and that's we now require that everybody sits down to a round table and have a good understanding of what we're doing collectively to the lagoon.
Okay. I'm going to take you back to flooding and, of course, coastal erosion, you know, which remains a major threat. What exactly is the root problem of this?
Well, when we talk about coastal erosion, we know how fierce the Atlantic can be. And when we look at our positioning, we would also discover that these floodings or coastal erosions happen at particular times of the year.
Times of the year, that's
It
true.
happens during the rainy season. Tides are high. This is also the period where all the snow up there in the north melts. Where do they go?
They come down.
The Atlantic, and it comes down here. So we have a lot to deal with. And a major problem also are those issues of reclamation, those issues of dredging. We shouldn't solve a problem by creating another one. So it should be a holistic approach towards tackling those issues. Putting everything down. It's like architecture, like planning. You put all your requirements, you put them down, you fuse them into the design, and then you play them out through construction. And that's basically what we're talking about here.
Okay, so what role do we play? Okay, I don't want to say we. What role do humans or residents, of these places, what role do they play, in ensuring that, they reduce, or what are they doing to make sure that your ministry continues to do the work?
I have to say a huge thank you to a number of those communities. We've had issues, we've resolved issues. Those are things that you find in human settings, in social animals, but the issue is how you fix those issues. Okay. We engage on a regular basis, and of course on the 11th we're going to be having our very first Waterfront Summit.
We're going to talk about that much later.
And that's a place where we would have to discuss, lay down all issues that concern, and we begin to address. We'd have to come up with policies. We can't wish them away. Sometimes it would have to be great guys, sometimes it would have to be mean guys in enforcing those issues. And it's not because we want to be mean, but you can't be a nice guy and a nice guy or nice government and also achieve those results. Where you need to be firm, you need to be firm. Stick and carrot kind of thing, and to also to make sure that they are aware, we have to go on a huge campaign for them to understand, engage them, enlighten them, get different people who are experts. I'm not an expert in every field, but I have an idea of all of those issues, and to a certain extent, the things we need to fix them. Okay. But outside of that, when it comes to deeply technical issues, that's where the technical people actually get involved. We were in the Netherlands a few weeks back, and it was about engaging them. I mean, they're the best in the world when it comes to issues of resolving issues on water.
On water, yeah.
And they're going to be there. The Netherlands consulate we continue to engage them. We have a good understanding of the issues that are happening along the Atlantic in communities like Okumopo, Okwaja, Origorigon village, Itoke village, Idotun village, Okunde, on that axis. And it's important to really bring them because those communities are really getting ravaged by coastal erosion. So we're trying to resolve, we're trying to get solutions fix those solutions, fix those problems rather on those axes, while we also assert through policies, enforcement and engagements, enlightenment programs, and many more to resolve those things.
Okay, I'm still talking about the challenges right now. Illegal dredging is another challenge, major challenge, and unregulated reclamation, which you have talked about. Yeah. How serious are these, issues?
Let's put it this way. Some few years back, illegal bunkering was a major issue in the Niger Delta. For us to understand what's going on, illegal sand dredging is what illegal bunkering was to the Niger Delta. We have no idea the amount of sand that's being dredged. at this point, we understand the cost of even building at the moment.
Okay.
We cannot afford to find ourselves in a situation that Dubai found itself in, where they eventually had to import sand from, I think, Australia and China and things like that. So you can close your eyes and imagine what the cost of sand would be should we run out and have to import.
No,
I'm sure they never thought they could find themselves in that situation. Exactly, God forbid. But then we also have to take action and make sure by engaging those community leaders and letting them know that you have to take charge. There's no way illegal dredging will go on in those communities without some members of the community seeing them or not being aware that those things exist within their communities.
Okay.
So we can't look away. We have to take action. And luckily, and we're grateful that quite a number of community members continue to reach out, and it makes life easier for us when we know that those things are there, and we always we always swing into action to make sure that we stop those issues. They're popping up all over.
All over, yeah.
So it's a continuous thing. It's in enforcement, it's an engagement in enforcement. It's not a one-off thing, it's not a once-in-a-week thing. It's something that we have to, like you see abroad.
It's ongoing.
Yes, on a stretch of road, you see two vehicles, police vehicles placed on the opposite ends. They run just to show across periodically to show presence and letting people know that they're here, which also influences crime rates to a certain extent.
Okay, we've talked about the challenges. Let's look about prospects, and opportunities of the waterfront now. Beyond solving flooding, how can Lagos waterfront be a driver for tourism development?
It goes just beyond tourism. It's about, when you talk in that area of tourism, we can't just talk about it in silos. To achieve what we want in the area of tourism, it means we have to work with, which we already have started doing, which we already do. We work with physical planning, we work with the Ministry of Transport, we work with the Ministry of Environment. We're going to be working with the Ministry of Agriculture to have our very first fish market in Lagos, a proper fish market.
That's the one in Ekwe?
Well, we're looking at Bariga access there.
Yay!
Where it would be easy for people to have a very first standard, regular standard fish market.
Okay.
I would like to see, when you look at the Wole-Olateju area, it's a very popular one, but it's on the decline. So we have to do certain things. There's need for the waterfront there to be properly planned, so that we can have boardwalks and things where people can go to walk. At the moment, if you're not able to walk on the beach, you better be walking in your bathroom. And we're saying we have to get it to that point where it handshakes tourism. So we're working on a few waterfront proposals, and we're almost there. We're almost done. We would showcase this at our summit. Some of those things we're working on will be showcased at our summit, and eventually would approach Mr. Governor for his kind approval, which I believe is something that will be wrapped like a gift to waterfront users in Lagos.
Okay, you talked about physical planning, and I want to touch on waterfront development and the role it plays in urban living and renewal projects.
Okay. Can you say that again?
I said, okay, we've talked about tourism.
Correct.
Now let's look at waterfront development and the roles it plays in expanding housing and urban development.
When you look outside, like I said, you always have to benchmark what you desire. You have to benchmark it against what you see, what your preferences, what you love, what you would like to have here. We've mentioned a few of those. We're working on the Oworon-Shoki axis. This is an area that ties both, and we can't work on it without working with physical planning. So what we do is we get the layout, we look at what we have available. Will it be medium to high density settlements or low to medium settlements? This is what we do in conjunction with physical planning. We get their sign off, and the planning is the most important thing. And we can't plan without physical planning, Ministry of Environment, drainage, transport. We can't suddenly just say, oh, this would be good for a huge estate, a 4,000 house estate or dwelling estate. We have to take into consideration the transport impact assessment as against the infrastructure that has already been created.
Okay.
As much as we want to aid housing, shelter, and things like that, we also have to look at it vis-a-vis the infrastructure that already exists and making sure that we don't overburden them. That's why you'd see that at a point the Lekki axis was free, it was smooth running, but sometimes to get out of Lekki, to get to Victoria Island from Ajah is another issue.
Sure.
Thank God for the coastal road that's already in place, and also the Lagoon Highway that's coming on yes, those are responses to issues that you can't always be proactive. I mean, in some cases you're proactive, in some cases you have to be reactive to what nature throws at you. However, you must make sure that you plan adequately. Like the saying goes, it's better for you to be prepared and the opportunity not come than for the opportunity to come and you're not prepared. For us to be prepared for the opportunity to come is a major reason why all of those ministries sit together. When you look at the outing we had last week, you would remember, if you remember, there was physical planning, there was EGIS, there was tourism, there was Waterfront, it was a team, and that was working
and of
towards...
course your ministry handshakes all of this.
All of them.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the composition of my ministry is made up of, we have a department, the estate department, which is made up of staff from, members of staff from the Lands Bureau. We have physical planning's presence. We have a unit that deals with that. We have the Surveyor General's having a unit as well, which is the survey unit. We have EBS, Engineering and Building Services, from the Ministry of Environment. We have the legal unit from Justice. So it's a composition of various ministries that actually make up the Ministry of Waterfront Infrastructure Development. Okay,
still talking about urban living. My mind keeps going to Makoko.
Okay.
And, you know, we call it, or they call it, the floating city. Is there any talks about that place being, or, you know, relocating the people there, or just find a way of, you know, rehabilitating that particular place? I don't know.
Well, it's a bit of an issue. I mean, personally, I would speak from that point of view. I'm aware that relocation process is in place. I'm aware that they had looked at a particular location to use in rehabilitating them. But on the other hand, we also have some people of a different school of thought who believe that, oh, it can be developed into a water city. Well, I think at the end of the day, it would be a matter of putting Lagos first. What works best for Lagos? Will it be relocating them or keeping them there? It's like a coin. You know, whichever side you flip is what you see. To some people, oh, this is a natural habitat. Yes, but what about the impact? How do you evacuate feces? How do you waste? There are a lot of things that follow man. How do you dump garbage? How do you take that? We've seen cases where, a few cases where reported that they had freshly caught fish were cut open and they saw human feces inside of them. I guess they had just consumed them. And these are the same fish to be consumed by humans. Some will discard them and say no. Some will say, well, I'll just wash them away. But at the end of the day, what do you think happens when certain diseases begin to spring up a few years down the line. So like I said, what should come first is what's best for Lagos. And then we can plug every other thing in there. Emotions are things that at different times would have to step down and put importance first.
Yeah. So, Mr. Commissioner, before we wrap up, let's talk about an important event your ministry is set to host next week, Thursday.
I'm all smiles.
11th. And it's themed Pressure on the Lagoon, the Lagos Experience. It's the first of its kind.
Yes,
yeah. And Lagosians, would like to know more. That theme, Pressure on the Lagoon, the Lagos Experience. Why was it chosen for that event?
Well, there's this sudden taste for waterfront properties, which has also led to demands. And that's what's responsible for all of those illegal and unapproved reclamation works. There's nothing wrong with reclamation in itself. It's been going on since forever. Canary Wharf is a reclamation work. I mentioned the Palm Jumeirah, as many others are. But when you look in that direction, is it a blessing or a curse to them? It's been a blessing.
It's been a blessing.
Because it's been properly controlled. In this case, there's a saying that it's best to act fast or quickly when there's a hole in the boat. Because if you don't, the hole in the boat will lead to the boat being in a hole. So it's a place where we would sit down and identify every problem and then come up with policies to address them, laws, policies, and understanding of this is how it works. These are the dangers. Across board, you can, like River States, Lagos States, there are particular areas where there's actually, where we continue, humans continue to put pressure on the lagoons. But we're now talking about the Lagos experience. I can't speak for rivers.
True.
I can't speak for any other state, but I can speak for Lagos State Waterfront. And that's why we think that it's been themed as, first of all, the pressure we're putting on the lagoon, and then from a Lagos perspective.
Yeah. Now, for everyday Lagosian, who are watching you right now, why should they care about this particular summit?
It affects everybody. You would see some people in Agege saying, "There's no water. How is it my business?" It's their business. They eat fish.
Yeah, because
they consume fish. They consume seafood, and for every time the way God designs things, He already. Nobody goes to the lagoon to feed fish on a regular basis. Okay. God has already provided for them through microorganisms and things. So every time you disturb the waterbed, what happens? The fish move further. The exchange rate of the dollar has no impact on fish. That's just where you had to dip your hand in water and bring them out. But that's not the case. The fishermen now work way harder because the fish migrate. They're depleting. There's even trolling going on. I have a few photos where people had sent me, and of course, when there's trolling going on, you just everything. It's a dragnet. You take everything, and they don't even return the seedlings back into the water, which run in the millions. So all of that, it affects the ecosystem, letting them understand that what you used to pay 2,000, 1,500 naira for seafood is what you're paying 20,000 for. This is what is responsible for it. So you have to speak up. And we're able to, you'd see that every nation is able to achieve more when everybody cooperates and they work together. We've seen it happening in Ghana. We've seen it on the West Coast. When you look at the waterfront, we're not even going to go way abroad. Let's look at the West Coast here. Let's look at Ghana, Togo, Benin. They're really, really, really doing a lot with their waterfront. And of course, what stops us from even achieving way more? So it has to start from a point. When we look at our hair, as full as your hair may be, it started from a spot, and that's the spot where we're starting from now.
Again, God forbid we don't find fishes in our in our waters.
Amen.
Amen. Just before we go, looking ahead, since this particular summit is the first of its kind, are we hoping to see more of this kind of conversations? And again, we just hope, we're hoping that this just doesn't end as a conversation. You know, there should be action after all of the talk.
First of all, it's said that the best parents are those parents that continue to engage their offspring in discussions, in communications. You help them get better, you identify problems, how they could do things differently, and then you find out that those products, those children are those who actually have been identified to be most successful because of the engagement process. Okay. In marriages that last are those where there's constant engagement, communication. The same applies in this case. It's not a one-off thing, but it's a start. Okay. It's said that you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to become great. So we'll put it this way: we're getting started to become great, becoming great. I know you mentioned some of the stakeholders that will be attending the summit. I'd like you to highlight those again. Wow, there are quite a number of them, all traditional rulers, regulatory bodies, community leaders, members of the community, technical people, School of Oceanography. We have an architect, Kunle Adeyemi, coming. He's an expert in water cities. We have CDR. CDR is a company based in the Netherlands that also have presence in Nigeria. They know everything about everything. Well, I'm convinced they know everything about everything that's got to do with our waters. You know, this Navy, everybody, we have to bring everybody to everybody's a stakeholder when it comes to the water. Because guess what? When we continue, the boreholes we drink at home, where do we think it comes from? That's the fresh water we're talking about. And if we do not stop, at a point in time, there were insinuations of salt water mixing with fresh water. So what do you think would happen because of the narrowing of the lagoon? So a lot has to be, it's a start. It's a start. It can't be a one-off.
It can't be a one-off. Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner Dayo Bush Alibiushu, Commissioner for Waterfront Infrastructure Development here in Lagos. And we've been talking about waterfront management in Lagos, challenges and prospects. And it's good to know that, you know, waterfront management is not just about protecting the environment, it's also about unlocking opportunities. We'll be right back after this short break.